Hi, this is Macarena, and in today's video, I will be talking about inversion. Before starting, I would like to say that never have I made a video about advanced English grammar before until today. So, what will you learn from today's video? Well, not only will I explain what inversion is, but also when and how to use it. And without further ado, let's begin. So, what is inversion? In general terms, inversion is when you change the order of something, right? But in grammar, inversion happens within sentences. It is when the auxiliary verb is put before the subject. Doesn't it sound familiar to you? Absolutely. We've all dealt with this type of structure in question forms. Let's look at some examples. In the first one, we have do you smoke? The verb do is functioning here as an auxiliary verb, and it is followed by a personal pronoun which is obviously our subject. Do you smoke? Good. In the following example, we have almost the same structure. Our auxiliary verb is the verb do, and it is followed by the subject you. Where do you live? The peculiarity of inversion is that it is not only used in questions. Looking at these sentences, we can rapidly observe that all these are statements. But there's a special feature about them. Let's read them. In no way should we accept their offer. Little did they know about me. Never has he felt so embarrassed. Seldom do they go to a tour, and rarely do we see gypsies. What is the special aspect or feature about these statements? Well, the words that are underlined here are functioning as modal verbs or auxiliary verbs, and they are all followed by personal pronouns that are functioning as our subject. Now, when can we use inversion? Well, as I've already said, inversion can be used in questions. How can we transform, let's say, a sentence into a question? Well, look at this example. William is staying in a hotel these days. Here, William is our subject. The verb is will be our auxiliary verb, and staying will be our main verb. Okay, the rest of the sentence is just the complement. Okay, so if we want to transform this into a question, we should put our auxiliary verb first. So in this case, will be grammatically correct. Is William staying in a hotel these days? Is, as I said, is our auxiliary verb. Then we need to write our subject, and then we have to write the main verb, okay? And after that, our complement. Is William staying in a hotel these days? Okay, nevertheless, if we want to add emphasis or to sound more formal, we should use inversion. For example, this is a normal sentence with no special emphasis. I've never seen such a spotless city before. No special emphasis, no special information in this statement. But look at this one. Never have I seen such a spotless city before. This part, which is highlighted, is our inversion. Here we can find our emphasis. What am I meaning then if I emphasize this part of the sentence? Well, maybe I have seen many other cities before, but any of them was as spotless as this one. There you go. Well, considering the structure of the previous sentence, let's see some expressions that can be used with inversion. Well, these are the most common expressions that are used within inversion. Let's see some examples. Never before have I driven so fast. Not only did my sister taste that plate, but she also bought it. Only in this way will we pass all our exams. In no way should you ignore a doctor's advice. No sooner had they started walking than it started to rain. Well, before continuing, let's see some exceptions as regards the previous time expressions. Well, within the expressions, we can find that some adverbs of frequency can be used in inversion. They are seldom, rarely, and barely. The peculiarity of them is that when they come after the subject, there is no inversion. For example, we rarely go to the church. This is a normal sentence. There is no special emphasis in this example. Why? Because for this to be emphasized, we should write the adverb of frequency at the very beginning. So here we have we, that is our subject. Then we have rarely, which is our adverb of frequency. And it is not at the very beginning. So no inversion. Then here are some phrases that occur at the beginning, but there is a special characteristic about them. Well, here we have only after, only if, not until or not till, only by, and only when. Well, when these phrases come at the very beginning, our inversion will be found in the main clause. Okay, look at an example. Only if we start saving will we be able to buy a new car. In this example, our main clause is will we be able to buy a new car. Here, the inversion can happen. Okay, inversion can also be used to express agreement. How do we do that? By the use of the words so, neither, or nor. Let's look at these examples. Here we have Martin is looking for a better pet job. So is Lina. This phrase, so is Lina, agrees with an affirmative statement. So, Martin is looking for a better pet job, and Lina is also doing that. Okay, that's why we use so is Lina. Yes. Looking at the following example, we have Alexander doesn't work here anymore. Neither or nor does Susie. In this phrase, we can see an agreement, but in this case, with a negative statement. Why? Because we are saying that Alexander and Susie, they both don't work in that place anymore. Okay, so Alexander doesn't work here anymore, neither does Susie, or nor does Susie. Well, inversion can also be used to replace the word if in conditional sentences. Remember that when talking about conditionals, we can find three different types. Okay, let's consider the first conditional. When we use inversion with the first conditional, we should use the word should so as to sound more formal. Okay, here we have, if you need any help, I will be in my bedroom. Okay, so how do we invert this sentence? Well, should you need any help or should you need help, I will be in my bedroom. Okay, in this case, as I said before, we are using the word should, and this is our modal verb, which should be put at the very beginning. Then it is followed by a personal pronoun functioning as our subject. Should you need help, I will be in my bedroom. Okay, let's move on to the second conditional. Here, we should use the word where to transform a normal sentence, let's say, into an inverted one. In the example, it says, if the shoes weren't so expensive, we would buy them. Okay, how do we invert? Okay, as it is stated here, we must use the word where. So, were the shoes not so expensive, we would buy them. Here, our auxiliary verb is at the very beginning, followed by our subject. In this case, the shoes are functioning as our subject. Before continuing, I would like to say that when we invert negative expressions, they should not be put together. They need to be apart. So if we write, weren't the shoes so expensive, it would not be grammatically correct. That's why here it is written, were the shoes not so expensive. Well, focusing on the third conditional, we should use the word had to invert a sentence. For example, if you'd stayed at university, you could have got a master's degree. Well, the inverted sentence would be, had you stayed at university, you could have got a master's degree. Here at the very beginning, we have the word had, which is the auxiliary verb, and it is followed by the personal pronoun you, which is functioning again as a subject. Good. Let's see a special type of inversion. Well, inversion with adverbial expressions are really interesting. Let's look at them. The thief came through the window. This is again a really normal sentence. Here we have the subject, which is the person who performs the action, the thief in this case. Then we have came, which is our verb, yes, the action that the performer, made. And here we have our adverbial, through the window. Yes, this is specifying a place. Okay, so how do we transform this into an inverted sentence? Well, we should use the adverbial expression at the very beginning. Yes, as just as if we are using an auxiliary verb. Okay, so through the window came the thief. Okay, so instead of using an auxiliary verb at the very beginning, if we use an adverbial expression, it will be grammatically correct. Through the window came the thief. Here we have the adverbial, here we have our verb, and at last we have our subject. Let's look for another example. Your oldest nephew goes there. Let's analyze it. Your oldest nephew is our subject. Our verb is goes, and there will be our adverbial. Okay, this is an adverbial of place. The inverted sentence would be as follows. There goes your oldest nephew. There is our adverbial, and that is why it should be put at the very beginning, followed by our verb and followed by our subject. Good. Let's see another one. Pendant lights hang over our table. Pendant lights function as our subject. Hang is the verb, and over the table is our adverbial. How do we invert? Well, over our table hang pendant lights. Our adverbial comes at the very beginning, followed by the verb, followed then by our subject. Good. Easy, right? Okay, but pay attention. Inversions after prepositions and adverbs of place do not happen with pronouns. Let's look at the previous examples. In these three sentences, our subjects were specific things or people. Here, we can't find personal pronouns like I, you, he, she, it, we, you, or they. Here we have the thief, your oldest nephew, and pendant lights. Our subject is always specific with adverbial expressions. Okay, before finishing, let's practice. Rewrite the following sentences using inversion. Let's look at the first 5 sentences. Remember that before we invert a sentence, we should consider the tense in which the sentence is written so as to use the appropriate auxiliary verb. Let's analyze the first one. They had hardly started the meeting when the manager received a message. So, here we have a time expression, right? So, we should start this sentence with a time expression followed by an auxiliary verb, followed by the subject, and then continuing with the rest of the sentence. So, the correct answer would be hardly had they started the meeting when the manager received a message. Let's look at the following. She rarely allowed strangers to enter her house. So here we have an adverb of frequency and it is written after the subject. So this is a clear example of a normal sentence. How can we invert this? Well, rarely did she allow strangers to enter her house. Why did we write the auxiliary verb did? Well, because the original sentence is written in the past. So pay attention to that. Let's go on number 3. I have never witnessed such display of rage. How can we invert this sentence? Well, never have I witnessed such display of rage. Very good. Let's go on number 4. One seldom realizes how short life is. This sentence is very similar to the second one. So, how can we invert? Well, seldom does one realize how short life is. Remember that whenever you use an auxiliary verb, the main verb should remain in its infinitive form. Okay, so if here we have the auxiliary verb does, the main verb should not be written as the original sentence. It should be written in the infinitive form. Good. Number 5. Thomas little knew what the future held in store for him. How can we invert this sentence? Well, little did Thomas know what the future held in store for him. Good. Let's go with 5 more sentences and then we will be over. Okay. Her brother not only paid her debt, but he also bought a new house for her. Okay. How can we invert this sentence? Not only did he or did he brother, it depends on what you want to write, on how much you want to write. Not only did he pay her debt, but he also bought a new house for her. Good. Number 7, you should, on no account, provide any confidential information to a stranger. How do we invert? Well, on no account should you provide any confidential information to a stranger. Okay, good, excellent. It is very easy. The more you practice, the better. Number 8, he understood only then what he had missed. How can we invert? Only then did he understood what he had missed. Very good. Number 9, he had no sooner resigned that he received a better job offer. So, how would be the inversion? No sooner had he resigned than he received a better job offer. Excellent. Let's go on the last sentence. You seldom meet such friendly people. How is the inversion for this sentence? Well, seldom do you meet such friendly people. Well, that's it for today. I really hope you have enjoyed my video. Bye.